I'm delighted to have this opportunity to show off some of the work that our students in the Film and Culture concentration have been engaged in. One of the highlights for me each semester is working with my students on a mini documentary about the course. Unlike a formal presentation where students would speak in front of an audience or their classmates, here I have my students interview each other on camera to discuss the ideas and the concepts that we're covering each semester. What's really great about it is that students find that they're very insightful, and they're often impressed and surprised about how well they come off in this format. Here you're going to see a brief excerpt from the work that was done in my Hitchcock Disciples class, where students discuss the director's use of humor.
So we talked about North by Northwest, and I'd also like to talk about Frenzy, because that, despite being a very dark, very pessimistic film, is also full of humor. And Hitchcock uses it exceptionally to break up the tension and bring some levity to films that would otherwise be very dark, and I think without the humor would be kind of hard to get through.
It was morbid, but there was a scene where the murderer, he left some evidence on the body that he tried to get rid of. So he was just extensively trying to go back to get the piece of evidence because he left his pin.
And like it's a really like memorable pin. There's like people could see him like wearing it in his suit. And he's a really popular guy, so they will see it, they'll recognize it.
And the pin was in her hand, so he had to go into the truck where the potatoes were. He had to go find where her body was, get into the sack.
And when he does, the truck starts moving. And then like there's a whole calamity, like the potatoes start falling out, the back of the truck opens. There are people on the highway behind the truck, like seeing the sacks and everything moving around, and he's trying to hide in the meantime. And then it's just like a lot of chaos for like this one mistake.
In trying to remove the pin, he is repeatedly kicked in the face by a corpse, which, I mean, shouldn't be that funny, but it ends up being hilarious despite the circumstances.
There was suspense in there too, just trying to waiting to see if he was going to get figured out. And I thought it was funny because of how many close calls there were in that one scene. Because it could have been, oh no, someone hurt him. Oh no, someone saw him. Or, oh no, she's actually alive, whatever it was. But I thought it was funny just the lengths that he had to go to just to get the pin back.
Yeah, he has to break her fingers open because she's holding on to the pin.
When bodies post-mortem, like they tend to like stiffen. So she was gripping onto like the pin for like pretty much dear life, even as a corpse.
He basically had to break her fingers just to get the pin.
You could hear like the snapping, like.
I mean, it's disgusting, but it somehow is still funny. I mean, it's the magical thing that Hitchcock and his writers and his actors can accomplish.
Amazingly, he still managed to walk away. He still managed to walk away with it, but he did get caught later. So
I certainly understand the idea that that's what makes so many of Hitchcock's films funny, is that we relate to it. Is in the humor is tackling very dark subjects, so and a lot of people can relate to that with how they deal with trauma, how they deal with loss, how we deal with those difficult emotions.
Up until the closure of movie theaters last March due to the pandemic, students in our Film and Culture concentration have been attending some of their classes at our local Alamo Cinema. What's great is it's not just students and myself in the theater, but there's an audience as well, and both the audience and the students get involved in the discussion. Last March, we did screen a couple of screwball comedies for our Screen Comedy and Clowns class. Have a look.
Years later, 1959, where it's Tony Curtis in Some Like It Hot plays the Cary Grant persona. Literally, doing the whole accent. I'm not going to do the accent, the voice, which is like even a nondescript accent. Is it American? Is it English? It's neither. It's Cary Grant. Cary Grant would later go on to say that even I would like to be Cary Grant. So it's this persona that he really created, and in many ways we have actually Leo McCarey to thank for this. While he felt that the more serious drama would be more deserving of Oscar recognition. Look at this film. Yes, it's hilarious. It's funny. It's a classic of the genre. But it is about serious things, right? It's about deceit. It's about trust. It's about vanity. But ultimately, it's about love.
I've always said that film studies is about ideas and exploring the ways in which those ideas are communicated through the medium of film. Now, I know things have been different these last 9 months, but whether we're in person or remote or a combination of the two, the core of what we do in the film and culture concentration hasn't changed.
So has anyone seen the Dallas Buyers Club? Yeah, a couple people. Okay, cool. So for the people that haven't, here's just a quick summary. Something I found interesting about this movie was that even though Ron and Rayon had like this partnership, I found it interesting that he still identified her, Ryan, as a he. And I was just like, it's ridiculous. Like, even though they are like, partners, he still doesn't identify her as what she wants to be. You know what I mean?
It's still nice to show that someone's still human, who's still accepting and help a friend, but they will still slip up. But after losing Ryan, he's still a better man, like helping the community as much as he can.
Yeah, it kind of gives him like some perspective, which is pretty interesting.
As you see, we're still deeply engaged in conversations about how film reflects the culture and vice versa. I hope you enjoyed this brief showcase of what's happening within the film and culture concentration.